What is up, everybody? Welcome to another edition of SacTown Movie Buffs. Once again, I'm Kier, and this is Jason. And today we are back to review two new films. First being Yes, God, Yes, and the second being The Game of Death. Both of them are streaming online. I found both of them on Amazon. I believe that neither are free. So wherever you find it, most likely you may have to pay for them. But yeah, there are obviously two completely different films. Yes, God, Yes is more of a comedy, if you will, and Game of Thrones is definitely more of a horror slash comedy.
You said Game of Thrones.
Did I say Game of Thrones? Oh, sorry. The Game of Death. Sorry. The Game of Death is more of a horror.
They both have a lot of death in them, though.
They both do have a lot of death in them. So yeah. You can see how I make that correlation.
Yeah.
Well, before we get into that, how's everything going with you today?
Good. It's just busy. You'd be surprised how busy I am, even though we're not really doing much at work and still keeping busy. But still working from home. Probably you are too.
Yeah, still work from home for at least the next few weeks is what I was told. But yeah, it's been really busy. My business has been really busy, surprisingly. With the economy being what it is, it's been extremely busy. So I'm thankful to still be working and to have a job. But definitely would love to see some things start getting back to some sense of normalcy at some point, but it doesn't look like it's going to be anytime soon based on all the record cases and things of that nature that we're having right now. So but other than that, all we can do is just keep watching movies, man, and keep doing what we do, so
just keep pretending everything else isn't happening, right?
That's right, man. Just stay in your room and stream videos and movies and pretend that the world's not on fire.
Yeah.
So that's how I like to live my life.
Yeah.
Well, with that said, man, let's get into it. We're going to go ahead and get started with Yes, God, Yes. And if you don't mind, I'll have you go ahead and take that one away, Jason, if you would.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So Yes, God, Yes is a kind of a coming of age story. It's kind of a comedy. Not kind of a comedy. It is a comedy. About a teenager named Alice, played by Natalia Dyer from most people know her as Nancy from Stranger Things, but she plays a Catholic school teenager, kind of discovering sexuality, basically. More specifically, without getting too explicit, she's discovering the possibilities of self-pleasure, I guess you could say.
Discovering herself.
yeah. But she grows up she's in Catholic school, and she's in a very Catholic family with Catholic teachers and Catholic friends. And obviously there's a lot of guilt and shame that go along with that, because pleasuring yourself is a sin for a lot of religions, but definitely hardcore Catholics, from what I understand. So that's basically it. It's a very short movie. It's only about an hour and 17 minutes long, I think, including credits. So it's really brief. But I like this movie a lot. I'm a sucker for coming of age stories. I really like a good coming of age story, and this was a good one. It's pretty slight. You know what I mean? Like, it's pretty thin. But for what it is, I think it does a really good job. I think Natalia Dyer is great. I really like her on Stranger Things. I think she's really good here. I also forgot to mention that it's set in the early 2000s, which was kind of cool for me, because I remember those days of I wasn't too much older than she is here when in the early 2000s. I remember like the sound of the dial-up, and I remember
mail.
Yeah, you got mail, and I remember the chat rooms, the AOL chat rooms, and ASL, age, sex, location. I remember that, and I remember it was a very interesting time for sure. And I wasn't too much older than she is here. And it's also got a couple of cool little soundtrack, like Collective Soul and Mandy Moore. So if you were if you remember the early 2000s, then it'll definitely bring back some memories on that front. I wasn't raised very religious. I didn't go to the Catholic school, but I can definitely understand the feeling she's going through. And it was just a really solid little tiny a 75-minute little. It's a solid coming of age story. It made me laugh. The acting is really good. It's not going to stop the world or anything like that. It's not trying to be an Oscar winner or be the best coming of age story you've ever seen. But for what it is, it's a solid little movie, I think. That's what I liked it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I liked it. I was going into it thinking it was going to be kind of similar to Saved, which we kind of referenced before about it being maybe somewhat of that same kind of vein, very not necessarily making fun of religion, but more so poking holes at religion, I would say.
Or hypocrisy. It definitely,
the hypocrisy of religion as a whole. Because with the school, they're very rigid. They're very, very Catholic, very, not about touching yourself or doing anything in the eyes of God, and you wait till marriage before you do anything at all, pretty much. But the lead character, I think she finds out, early on in the film that they're not always practicing what they preach. Let's put it that way.
Exactly. So, yeah.
And I think that's kind of what the movie's kind of getting at a little bit, is that they're not always practicing what they preach. Whether
all the people that are passing judgment on her are not walking. They're not. They're talking the talk. They're not walking the walk necessarily.
Exactly. That everybody has their own deviation from what they're telling. Kind of like that. Do as I say, not as I do. You know what I mean? But they find out that all these people aren't exactly 100% who they say they are, and as strict as they claim to be, basically. So it's a very short film. I did enjoy it. It's very simple, you know what I mean? So it's kind of hard to say anything too negative, because it's like I said, it's very simple. Most of the film is kind of set either after school, or they go to like this, I guess, Christian retreat kind of thing that they do. And that's where,
that also reminded me. You weren't living here then, but that brought back memories for me too, because I didn't go to a Catholic retreat or anything like that, but I went to like a camp like that. That was like a 6th grade. Everyone in 6th grade had to go to this camp, and it was super awkward and painful, and I hated it. And so it reminded me of that too. So
yeah, I think every kid had to go through some similar camp at some point, no matter what school you went to. Because even here in Sacramento, because you were living obviously up near the base kind of thing. But even here, my son had to do the same thing when he was in 6th grade, and then I lived in Nebraska when I was like in 5th and 6th grade, and I had to go to one of those camps similar to that as well. They're not religious camps, but it's still kind of like that. Walking around in nature and sitting around and talking and about feelings and that kind of stuff. So it is kind of similar in the vein to the camp that she goes to in this film. But this one has way more of a religious focus on it than those types of camps do. But yeah, overall, I mean, I liked it. It's a very, like I said, very, simple film. But it's one that, I would recommend for someone to check out, I believe. So, but yeah, cool.
Yeah.
That is, yes, God, yes. So, yeah. The second film, completely different direction.
They would not approve of this film. The characters in Yes, God, Yes would not approve of this one.
Definitely not. These kids are doing everything opposite of what's going on.
Oh my God,
Yes, God, yes. So this film is called The Game of Death. Is basically about a bunch of, I'm going to say late teens. They may be 18, probably not 21, I would think. A bunch of late teens. And it's also a very, very short film as well, with a very, very simplistic plot as well, like Save, but in a different direction. In this case, the kids are, definitely having sex, definitely doing drugs, this kind of stuff. And at some point, they're hanging out at somebody's house, and at some point, they decide to break out this game called the Game of Death. You don't really find exactly where the game even comes from. It's just kind of like sitting in like this boy's room. So they bring it out, and they all decide to play this game. And So basically, they all have to put their fingers, like in the picture here, on the game board, and it starts counting down. And then at some point, it like there's like a needle or something that like pricks all the kids, and it like draws their blood. And then it says that they basically have to start eliminating people, or something bad is going to happen to one of them, or they'll start having bad things happening to each member.
Well, like 24 people have to die, basically.
Yeah, 24 people have to die, basically, and that's the 24 there in the center there. Of course, there's not even 24 of them here. There's only, like 6 kids that play the game or something of that nature. But, that if they don't, kill one of them, that 24 people have to die, otherwise one of them starts to die, basically. And, of course, they don't believe it, and, the first scene is basically this kid's head basically swelling up and exploding like a melon. So they learn very quickly that the game is no joke. Things have gotten very real very quickly. And at which point they realize as soon as the person dies, it counts down to number 23. So now they definitely know that they're going to have to kill basically 24 people, or one of them's going to die. And that's basically kind of where the story goes off from there, not getting into too much spoilers. So they either have to make choices about, do they either let themselves die, or do they go out and basically kill people? And they kind of go out and, leave the house. And some, are more pacifist and don't want to kill anybody. Some are like, yeah, we better start killing some people immediately. Clearly 24 people is a lot of people to kill, though. And like I said, not to get into too much spoilers, but they're definitely, I can definitely tell you for sure that there are plenty more deaths that happen in this film for sure. So it's kind of it's a horror movie. It's kind of a comedy. Overall, I kind of enjoyed it overall. It's very over the top, very wacky. There's some very, very cool head exploding scenes. There's a really, really cool like bullet shot also that I really like. There's a really, really cool scene with a bullet shot. The acting is not the best I've ever seen in my life from all the kids. The logic is also a little funky. But overall, it's a very short, simple film. Not a whole lot of meat on there. There's not a whole lot of time for downtime. There is a kissing scene that lasts way, way too long, in my opinion. But other than that, I kind of enjoyed it, actually. It wasn't too bad, in my opinion. I can't say that I had a bad time. I liked that it was short, simple, and, straight to the point. You don't really find out a whole lot about the kid's background that much, other than, they're all pretty much friends hanging out at this house. And then, quickly they play this game. And then from there, they're all basically either dying or killing people kind of thing. And that's basically kind of the premise of the movie. But, overall, I enjoyed it. Overall, I didn't have a bad time. So that's just my take. Jason.
Yeah. No, I liked it. And I was kind of surprised that I liked it, because when it first started, I was like, oh my God, this is going to be a long 72 minutes or whatever, because like the characters are introduced it almost seems like a Larry Clark movie at first, you know what I mean? Like a kids or bully type movie where, but like, I didn't like right off the bat, I was like, oh my God, these people are so annoying. I don't like any of them. I don't care about them. They're just awful. But I'm glad I hung in there, because, and I was like, man, this is going to be a long 72 minutes or whatever. And then basically about the time you had your first head explosion, that kind of got me invested, I guess you could say. So the characters are all still pretty annoying most of the time, but it does some interesting things. Like on a purely story level, I was invested, but I also like the way they kind of, like you mentioned, they kind of split the factions a little bit to where it's like they kind of split up, as in like a couple of them want to, let's just go, on a killing spree right now. And others are like, can't do that. That's wrong. And it kind of splits that and then brings them back together at the end. Right. So it's not like a great movie, but it's like, if you have no problem with enormous amounts of violence and just debauchery, if you are predisposed to that kind of thing, as you and I are, we don't mind.
We clearly we're in that camp. So violence and debauchery is definitely right up our alley. So
yeah. And it's gonna, like, it also has a very unique style to it. Like the way it's shot, the way the music, the way it's edited. It's definitely not a generic movie. It's got a very distinct style to it. So that's going to turn people off too. The characters, the violence, the style of it. It's the kind of movie that's gonna like turn some people off immediately.
You're just like, yeah, you're gonna hate this film. Don't watch it.
yeah. Well, that's what I thought at first. I was like, oh man, first 5 minutes, I was like,
yeah, the kids are really really annoying, and there's one boy in particular that annoyed me from the get go. The one that comes over that's like the weed guy or whatever, the drug guy or whatever. He's annoying before the game even starts. He's already kind of annoying. So he was like one of the ones that I was like, gosh, I hope this kid dies immediately. But yeah, so the kids are really really annoying. That is something to be mindful of. And then, like you said, the beginning does kind of have that Larry Clark kind of feel because they're just doing drugs, they're having sex, or they are just annoying teenagers in the very beginning. But the good thing is it's a very short movie and then it doesn't take very long. I mean, you sit through the first 10, 15 minutes and then immediately it's like go time. And then literally the entire rest of the hour is, about them, figuring out what they're going to do, whether they're going to kill people or not kind of thing. So there are a lot of deaths in there. That's for sure. A lot of people do die. But it's a very interesting film at the very least. And like I said, overall, I didn't think it was a bad film. So.
I dug it.
Cool. Yeah. Well, I guess with that said, let's start back with Yes, God, Yes. Kind of your overall grade you would give it and the face you would give it as well.
I give Yes, God, Yes 3.5 out of 5. So for me, that's a solid B, which is this face. Just a nice smile, no teeth. No teeth.
Cool. I'm gonna do probably the similar. I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5, which is for me is a solid B, and I'm gonna give it this face, which is also a smile with no teeth.
All right. Cool.
Very very quick, very easy on those.
Yeah.
And then Game of Death, same thing. Grade and face, you would give that one.
Same thing, actually. I gave that a 3.5 out of 5, solid B. I definitely didn't think I was going to give it that for the first 5 minutes, but I'm glad I hung in there. But that's, again, this face. Just a solid smile. These two, like you mentioned, these two could not be any more different, but to me, they yielded about the same amount of results, So
yeah, I agree with you 100%. I'm same thing here. I'm going to give the Game of Death a 3 out of 5, and I'm going to give it this face, which is again a smile with no teeth. Pretty much the same. I agree with you 100%. I think that the only thing they have in common is they're both very very short. Neither one of them I think were even an hour and a half long. I don't think the Game of Death.
I think if you added both of them up, it'd be like like a normal 2.5 hour. You could add both of these up, and you wouldn't even have a Marvel movie.
Yeah, no, you wouldn't. Yeah. So I think that's the thing that also kind of helped both films. You know what I mean? Yeah. Because there wasn't a whole lot of time for filler. You're either gonna like the humor of Yes, God, Yes, or you're gonna like the violence and the head explosions in the Game of Death. You know what I mean? And if you enjoy both of those things, then you're probably gonna have an overall decent time watching both of them. So both of them were good, not great, but definitely two films that, like I said, I also gave the same grade as well. So I enjoyed both of them. So definitely very good pairing, I believe. So.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool.
All right.
Well, with that said, as always, if you checked out the films, be sure to like the review here. Be sure to go ahead and give us a big thumbs up. Leave us a comment down below. As always, please subscribe to the channel, and then of course hit the bell notification so you don't miss any of our uploads for any of our new videos we're going to be posting. And we'll be seeing you guys all again real soon. We thank you so much, and we hope you have a great day.